welcome to the Cosmic Revolution channel. I'm your guide, Madi Murphy. I'm an intuitive, an astrologer, and an empowerment coach. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about something, another way to use your birth chart to empower you. I love using astrology as a tool of self-growth and self-discovery, but it can be overwhelming and confusing AF. Audrey is off screen still laughing about that. It's been a long day. It's been a long year, y'all. You feel me if you know what's up. But let's talk today about 5 ways that you might not know, 5 things to do to work with your rising sign more. And I'm gonna say that you probably don't know how to work with them. If you do, good on you. But these are things that I discovered, little yummy treasures, Easter eggs along the way. I was like, wow, the rising sign is so much more than just a point on your chart. So your rising, let's talk about it. It's also called AKA your ascendant. And unlike your sun or your Mercury or your Venus, it's not a planet in your chart, it's a point, it's an angle. So it goes across the horizon line. It's that, if you're looking at your birth chart, it's the leftmost spot. It's like 9 o'clock if you're looking at a clock. And this part of your chart is truly, it's sun, moon, rising are like the 3 big legs of your chart, and your ascendant is a lot about your essence and the energy you give off and the energy you radiate. And your rising sign is a lot about what motivates you and what fuels you and what brings you into new avenues, into new horizons, into new chapters. Your rising sign is also the energy you give off and the impression you make on people. And it's a lot about your approach to life too. How do you solve that problem? How do you find that new place you want to go to? How do you start that new project? How do you meet that person? It's a lot about how you're rising through life, like the name. It's not just a clever title, it's for real. And it's also a lot about what gets you out of bed in the morning. What do you want to be known for? What lights you up? So all of these things make it really important, but there's a few more ways to work with your rising sign that go beyond that. So I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite tips of how to work with your rising sign. So tip number 1, through your rising sign is how you find what astrologers call your chart ruler, your planetary ruler. You might think your chart ruler is your sun sign's planetary ruler, but it's not, it's your rising. And what do I mean by planetary ruler? Well, essentially, every zodiac sign is ruled by a planet, and the planet is much more powerful than just the zodiac sign. And the planet is telling a lot more about the story, of how that energy manifests. So finding your chart ruler is done through your rising. So I am a Cancer rising, so my chart ruler is the moon. If you are a Taurus rising, your chart ruler is Venus. If you are a Leo rising, your chart ruler is the sun, so on and so forth. And you can find planetary rulership with a quick Google search, pretty straightforward. And so that's your chart ruler. Now to tip number 2, what is the significance of the planetary ruler? Well, first and foremost, the energy of that planet is gonna have a big impact on your life. I'm a Cancer rising, like I said, so I am ruled by the moon. So I quite literally do moon circles. I quite literally work with the moon. I quite literally teach other people how to work with the moon. But also you can find where that planet is in your chart. Stay with me. We're getting a little deep into astrology lingo here, but finding your planetary ruler, your rising. So again, like I said, if you're a Taurus rising, you're ruled by Venus. Finding where the actual planet of Venus is in your chart is hugely significant to understanding the themes and energies of your life and what's going to have the most significance or the most importance for you in your current lifetime. So like for me, I'm ruled by the moon, and my moon is in Pisces on my midheaven. So for me, a big part of my life is about my career and finding emotional fulfillment through channeling, through doing creative spiritual work, and bringing it out to people like you. Hence why I'm here on YouTube wearing a sequin jacket, doing fist pumps, talking about astrology. So if you are ruled by Mercury, if you are Virgo or Gemini rising, finding where Mercury is in your chart, what sign, what house. This is gonna unlock a big clue about why you're here, what you should be focused on, and what is your bigger part of your soul purpose, okay? It's a big role. So that's my tip number 2. Now tip number 3, we're gonna take a break from the total astrology mumbo jumbo. This is a little bit more easy, I hope, to understand. But a third great way to work with your rising sign is your rising is on that 9 o'clock part of the clock, and then your descendant, which is the opposite of your ascendant, is on that 3, I guess that would be 3 p.m. on a clock. So directly opposite your rising is what you are in your relationships, the role you play in your relationships, how you want your relationships to feel, what you need in them, what's activated in them. So really simple is looking up the opposite, the polarity of your rising, to understand what the energy you need in your relationships. So I'm a Cancer. I need my relationships to have a little Capricorn flavor to them. And I do. My husband has a Mars in Capricorn. I'm not gonna give his whole chart, he would not appreciate that. But let's just say my boy is Capricorn AF. And the thing for me is I am very flowy, I'm very my feminine, I'm very into spirituality. So in my relationships, I like to have someone who is a little bit more structured, who is a little bit more pragmatic. I'm laughing because that's like the understatement of the century. So for you, looking at whatever your rising sign is, if you are an Aquarius rising, maybe you need some Leo energy in your relationships. If you're a Sagittarius rising, maybe you want some Gemini flavor in your relationships. And that's because we're meant to grow through the opposites. That's why I love chart polarities in astrology, okay? So tip number 4, truly summing it all up, I want you to just really think about living life through your rising sign when you feel stuck. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling unmotivated, uninspired, I want you to live life like you're your rising. There's a lot of power you tap into through living life through your rising sign. You're rising, that's where you're growing, you're evolving, you're spreading your wings. So thinking about that, and my dear friend Colin once told me, it's not even, you can't even hide your rising sign. Rising sign things will find you and be attracted to you. So the more you say yes and lean in, if you're a Leo rising, you're meant to be on stage, you're meant to be doing something cool, being a leader. Even if you don't want to be, those things are gonna keep knocking at your door until you answer and say yes. So say yes to your rising sign, and in moments of feeling stuck or stagnant, lean into that rising sign more. And my 5th tip of just how to work with your rising sign is I want you to read all of astrology through your rising sign, especially your horoscopes. I want you to check your sun and your rising. I always say that in the videos here. I always say it on our horoscopes we write for Instagram. But truly, how we cast charts for horoscopes as a lot of astrologers is we use the rising sign. So your rising sign, notice it now. Your rising sign horoscope may resonate even more than your sun, but check both because they are working together. And when you're reading about signs to get to know yourself more, check the rising. You're gonna learn so much about yourself. And again, a lot of astrologers traditionally wrote about astrology through the rising sign, but when horoscopes started becoming popular in newspapers, it's a little harder for the everyday person to figure out their rising sign, whereas the sun sign was a lot easier to tell people, hey, if you were born in this date frame, you're a Cancer, or hey, you're a Scorpio. So check your rising sign, get to know it, learn about it, live it, love it. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Let me know how it's going. And of course, let me know what your rising sign is. Okay, see you soon.